Boy, you raise an interesting question. Who is considered the worst player in NBA history?
Drafted or just the worst player? Because,
Well, yeah, it's two different things.
Because it's tough because if a guy just doesn't play a lot, we don't know how bad he is. Do you mean like I guess a guy that was notable that was bad? That stuck around for a while?
I've got a list here.
Worst players ever?
Yeah, like 20 worst players in NBA history.
See, it's a weird thing.
How do you begin to quantify that?
Yeah, because you have to play in order to be one of the worst players.
Former Blazer Elliot Williams, number 18.
Get right the hell out of town. Elliot Williams is one of the worst players in NBA history.
Well, according to this list, Crittenden is on the list. Excuse me.
Well, he's in
Mark
jail.
Madsen.
He's in jail for murder now, isn't he?
He was. I think he's out now.
Oh.
Hasheem Thabit, former Blazer great.
Hey, I remember him.
He was bad.
He was.
He was terrible.
They've got Darko at 11.
Darko was terrible.
It seems like there's a correlation to guys getting drafted relatively high.
Yeah. Anthony Bennett, 10.
Yeah, so you're not going to give that's like saying I'm the worst player in NFL history. That may be correct, but
you want a top 10 pick.
I wasn't good enough to be the worst player in the NFL.
Adam Morrison, number 8. Brian Scalabrine, number 7. Get out of here with that.
Scalabrine?
Dude, he could ball.
No, that's terrible.
That is terrible.
Brian Scalabrine?
Todd Fuller, number 6.
I remember Todd Fuller. Where's Big Country Reeves? I'm just trying to think of
right.
Luke Jackson could be in there.
Of like Bus.
Michael Ruffin, 3. Sun Yu, 2.
I don't remember Sun
He played for the Lakers.
Either.
And Cherokee Parks is number 1.
Oh, yeah.
Parks is the worst?
Well, I mean, come on. This list is kind of stupid.
Because he was just highly touted coming out of Duke. Was he a high draft pick, Parks?
I think he went first round.
Yeah, but he wasn't like top 5, top 10, I don't think.
I don't think so. He was like right around that loser Giannis range.
Giannis went like 15
or something.
That's interesting. I would not have assumed some of those guys.
Well, again, let's not. That list sucks. We should probably put together our own list if we cared.
When I say worst NBA player, what?
Ha?
I was going to say, what immediately comes to your mind?
Ha Sung Jin.
It's funny because
he was terrible.
Because that kind of pops into my mind too. Like he was
just tall.
Yeah, he was tall and committed fouls at an ungodly rate. And was trying to hurt people all the time.
That guy Jan Liang or whatever his name was, that they had him do a combine and he was doing drills against a chair. That was like the only scouting anybody got. And then he was supposed to be the next Yao Ming and he was a total bust. Do you remember this guy?
No.
They called him the chairman because he was doing drills around a chair at his combine.
Yes, the chairman. That's a great nickname.
I love the idea of the chairman. I think that's fantastic.
You know, the NBA is interesting because, I don't know, in college ball, you can see guys that it's like, wow, how did, that person should not be on the floor.
Sure.
Right? But I think when you get to the pros, especially rosters, you only have 15 spots on every roster.
Yeah.
Like, even the 15th guy, I mean, there's got to be some, there has
to be something.
Yeah, it's not like you get on an NBA floor. I mean, look.
You can't really waste them on guys who can't play.
Right. It's like, it's not like that guy does not belong on the floor. It's like, well, we see a couple things in this guy and maybe
every now and then you get a Udonis Haslem that sticks around for some reason and never plays. But for the most part, no, everyone has to be able to add something.
And I would think, I'm trying to think. Yeah, baseball's the same way. I think the rosters are too small. Everybody's got to have, I mean, you never see you see some bad baseball players.
Yeah.
But you don't see guys that are completely just shouldn't be out there.
No.
Right? You see what they see in them.
There's something there.
So
if you're a Punch and Judy, maybe you have a good glove or, you're a switch hitter or something.
You got potential.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's a hard list to make.
It's funny. I just was thinking like what name comes to mind. And it's funny because Ha pops up there for me. I don't know why, but I think about Oluwakandi. Remember him?
He was on the list.
Candyman.
He was number 20.
Because I remember like him coming out and people were talking about how great he was going to be. And I think he went number 1 overall and he sucked rocks.
Can you think of, okay, so let's think about the Blazers.
Yeah. Oh, there's plenty of those.
Well, yes, there are bad players, but how many times did a player, every time he took the court, you go, oh my God, this guy sucks so bad. Like that type of bad.
Well, Ha
was one.
Ha certainly comes to mind.
I can't think of another that I thought that about.
Where it just was immediately, you're like, why are you putting him in the game? Yeah, I'm trying to think, because like I think about like they had like Dorian Green. Remember, there was always like some guy that the Blazers would have, and then like he would have like one game.
That was Torian Green.
Torian Green.
Yeah.
And people would like love him, and then you'd see him, and you're like, what? This dude's freaking terrible.
Who was the guy? Luke Babbitt. When Babbitt played for the Blazers,
I remember Babbitt.
dude, he sucked so bad.
Wasn't
but then
wasn't that the one that Mike Rice was talking about? He's like the best shooter in the draft, and he was talking about how great he was going to be. And
I think he was talking about him in practice. Like, it was Barrett. And Barrett was like, "Yeah, you guys should see this guy in practice." I'm like, Barrett, this guy is terrible. Well, Luke Babbitt, ended up being okay.
Yeah.
After he left Portland, but I just remember every time he was in the game going, "Oh my God, what is this guy doing on the floor?"
Who was the big European guy that had Skidavili? Remember?
Skidishvili.
That was another one that anytime he took the court, you were like, what in God's name is happening here? Like, I was going to say, there's some bad, like, random Euros that were tall that they threw out there.
Who was the big man that played for the Blazers? And I think he went to Georgia Tech.
Oh, yes.
Do you remember him?
The big, weird, redheaded kid.
He was terrible.
He was an Aussie.
Yes.
Yeah.
What was his name?
God, I know who you're talking about.
He goes on my list.
Yeah, because it's always some 7-footer that they're like, well, he's tall, so let's give this guy a chance. Yeah, I remember that kid. And he was a Georgia
Luke
Tech.
Schencher.
Luke Schencher. Yeah, I remember him.
He's on my list.
Man, there is a name I have not heard in
Sorry, Luke.
forever.
Who was the other? Again, now I'm thinking of like Euros. Remember they had a European guy who always wore tall socks.
Blazers?
Yeah, the Blazers. 40. He's number 44. And it was just a number. It was
White guy?
Yeah, well, he was
Joel Prisbilla.
Nah, dude, the gorilla was great.
I know.
God, what was his name? I can see him, and like I remember when they got him, people were like, "Oh, this guy's gonna be good," and he was effing terrible. I remember 44 in those socks. It was like Mario.
Oh.
God, what was his name? It's gonna drive text program.
Was it Hazonia, was it?
Yes.
Was it Hazonia? Mario Hazonia?
Yes.
Hazonia.
Dude, that guy kicked rocks, and we were sold a bill of goods that this guy was going to come in and be great. He freaking sucked.
That wasn't that long ago.
No, I was in relative short period of time. There's so many of those. God. I remember being told that Zach Collins was good, and let me tell you, he wasn't. I know now.
A lot of good names coming in on the text line.
Now he's fine.
Yeah, Joel Freeland.
Oh, yeah. I remember Freeland. But the Blazers.
He wasn't as bad as some of these guys were mentioning.
He wasn't good. Look, we get sold the bill of goods a lot. A lot. Well, look, I'm not calling anyone out, but you know who loves every guy that comes to Portland right now?
Danny.
Danny loves every guy that comes to Portland. There's always this guy's got a little something. He watches with such intent, and he can pick out like one or two good things that he likes about the guy. And it's like, Danny is the ultimate optimist. If I ever needed a third base coach, it would be Danny Meringue, because that dude is
way beyond in.
He's sending. And not only is he sending, but we're standing up. We're not even sliding. You got this. He is the ultimate NBA optimist, and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Hey, Royals may have 2 titles if Danny's over there at third
That's
base.
right. He would have sent him.
Did you guys see the text related to Joel Freeland on our text line?
No.
Someone had relations with Joel Freeland and another person, it appears.
What?
That's what it says.
What do you mean?
Someone stooped Joel Freeland?
That's what it. Look at the text line.
Oh, come on. Get out of here. We need proof. Send us the vid.
Yeah. And Jake Layman. I remember Layman. Layman had
He wasn't bad.
He had a brief moment there where we loved ourselves some Jake Layman.
He wasn't in this category. Jake Layman had some ups.
Yeah.
He was fine.
But again, he was another guy that we were told could turn out to be something, and no.
Dude, I'm sticking with my Luke Schencher pick.
People were high on Pat Connaughton, and then he was no good here, and then he was okay with the Bucks.
I thought about him. He was crappy here, but he turned into a nice role player.
Yeah.
Same as Babbitt.
He had the ups.
All right, well, we got to nothing we wanted to there.
No, we did not.
We got excited.
But it's fun to name sports people.
But I'm telling you, go back and listen to the segment today when Danny was talking about the guy that they just traded for, the Banton. Was it
Delano? Banton.
Yeah. Let me tell you something right now. You know who loves him? You know who loves him some Delano? Danny Moran.
I will say this: it feels like Blazer fans, and I'll be honest, I've not been watching, but people seem to like what they've gotten out of Tumani Kamara and Duran
yeah.
Reed. So,
Yes.
like,
Kamara's
those two
great.
guys, they were just throwaway names,
Hey,
and people
man,
like those two
the
guys.
Final
So.
pieces are in place. I love it.
Look, I think this is what it is. Every time I watch them, and I'm with you, Buck, I don't watch them often at all, but every once in a while I tune in. And all you want out of guys like Kamara and Reith or whomever.
Play hard.
No, you just want them to be like, well, that's not, hey,
He's a pro basketball
He
player.
didn't just turn it over. This is great. And that's really what you get, right?
Yeah.
It's the backup quarterback syndrome.
Yes.
It's like the backup quarterback's always better than the starter.
For like
until he gets in the game.
Yeah, for 3 weeks, remember, Josh Dobbs was the greatest player in NFL history.
So when you see a guy like Kamara not turn it over and actually play hard on defense and get a steal, you're like, oh my God, this guy's really good. No, he's not. It's just he isn't Luke Schencher.
and we've set the bar nice and low.
But I do love how fans think about players, though. It's great. I do the same thing with my teams.
Yeah, you get excited about some guy.
You know who sucked? This McCullough guy who's the lead. He's probably the player of the year in college basketball for Kansas.
Yeah.
Freaking hated him. Last year, I'm texting my buddies like, this guy's freaking terrible. Get him out of here.
Now he's a first-team All-American.
He's unbelievable. Kevin McCullough.